Hi, welcome to another edition of Zazzle Chat. Today we are going to be talking everything mobile. So that's smartphone, tablets, and other smartphones?
Could be watches.
And watches,
Sure.
Potentially watches. Yeah. So today we have a special guest. This is Sean.
I guess.
Sean is one of our product managers here at Zazzle, and that focuses on mobile specifically. So he is the guy who knows everything mobile. So first of all, mobile. Mobile has changed a lot. I think 10 years ago was when the first iPhone was launched, and we're really excited for the 10-year anniversary. But if you think back 10 years ago, that was 2007. It wasn't 1997, which seems crazy to me. But I think the biggest difference for us working in e-commerce is how much people shop on their mobile devices now. I mean, imagine 10 years ago, it was so slow, it was impossible to load a page, and now I feel like all my Amazon purchases are done on the app on my phone. So, I think the majority of consumers actually prefer shopping online as opposed to big box retail, which is why you'll probably notice in the news a lot of these big box retailers are struggling to stay open. But 1/3 of Americans now own a smartphone. And that's not a cell phone, just a smartphone. And then more than 60% of these customers have shopped online. So
Yeah, that's a pretty good overview. I'd say that our observations at Zazzle are pretty similar with the industry curve. We're seeing a pretty consistent year-over-year growth in terms of mobile traffic and engagement. The majority of our traffic at Zazzle is now over a mobile device. So that's iPads, iPhones, Android devices. So it's fairly consistent, and we just see it as a very huge opportunity for Zazzle as a whole, but also for a better consumer experience. I think that's kind of where the trends are going.
Totally. I think one thing that's really interesting is Zazzle is such a unique ecosystem, right? So it's so hard Amazon has kind of made it simple, and so it's easy to shop on the app, but how do designers or customers customize on the app?
Yeah, today they have I'd say a limited experience on the mobile app. And it's really about just adding text, maybe uploading an image here and there. But in the next couple of weeks, we're really excited to introduce a new design experience on mobile app, as well as mobile web sometime in the near future. So think about a very simple experience for both consumers as well as designers on the mobile app, where you can more or less do a very focused, very user-friendly experience, and eventually post that product for sale for designers or customize and buy for consumers.
Okay, so I'm just going to go back a couple steps. I noticed you said mobile app and mobile web. Can you just clarify to our designers what the difference between those two are?
Sure, yeah. So mobile web, consider that as a browser on your smartphone, iPhone or Android. If you go to Zazzle.com on your smartphone, you'll hit our mobile website at Zazzle.com, or if you're international, Zazzle.es. For our mobile app, this is the app that you'll have to download and install on your phone through iTunes or Google Play. And that, where you're logged in, you can do a little bit more immersive, more engaging interactions with Zazzle using that kind of focused experience.
Yeah, so if you haven't downloaded the Zazzle app yet, be sure to check that out and download it, and then also give us a good rating.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I understand that. So are we seeing more traffic from the app or the web?
Right now we're seeing a lot more traffic on mobile web, but when we look at the app side of things, that's where we see a lot more engagement. Daily users are really high within the app, and I think that's because it's installed always with you. So the people that tend to use the app are a little bit more loyal users.
Okay, so for the sake of this conversation, are we talking about the app or the web?
I'd say both. For mobile web, we have our most recent launch last week is the new product page redesign on Zazzle.com on your phone. If you hit that, you'll kind of receive a new simplified mobile experience.
And this is on the product page?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you visit your invitation or t-shirt that you designed, you'll see a pretty little new take that's really consistent with the desktop experience that we redesigned last year. For mobile app, we're also doing a very similar redesign, which will probably hit the App Store in the next month or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the actual update?
Yeah, so for .com, for Zazzle.com, which is the mobile website, you'll see a brand new redesign, which is very consistent with what we have on desktop today at Zazzle.com. So a very more simplified interface. You'll have easy access for the attributes. You'll have templates available to you as a consumer, and in the near future, you'll have access to a design tool as well, where you can design on a mobile device very easily, and for designers eventually post for sale. But that's in maybe the 3 to 4 month roadmap.
So customers can design, but designers can't post for sale just yet.
Correct.
Okay. So that's coming, but it's not coming just yet.
It's coming, and if designers such as yourself want to participate in the process and give us feedback on what you would like to see in a post for sale flow on mobile, we'd love to hear it. But for now, we're focusing on consumers, especially as we're ramping up for the holidays.
And if you want to post comments, we're starting a forum thread, so check out the link below and please comment on that thread, and we'll be sure to take a look. Okay, so So now that we learned about the mobile web update, it's consistent with our desktop experience, yada, yada, yada. That's all good and nice, but what does that mean for our designers, and how will that directly impact designers?
Yeah, so the first, I think, just brass tacks is that with the redesign of the mobile website, we're hoping to get more conversion out of users. So the easier it is for consumers to navigate, personalize their products, the more they're likely to convert, and more money in your pockets. So that's, I think, the number one benefit of this redesign is more money for designers. But that also has some bearing for designers who are now designing for a mobile-first audience. So that means being more conscious about what does it mean to interact with my templates or my products on mobile. That means more simple designs, a little bit more rigidity in your, and more discipline in how you lay out your templates, and thinking about it in a mobile-first way. So there's a little bit more tips and tricks that we can give you on how to design for mobile, and we'd love to share those with you.
Yeah, so let's jump into those tips right now. So I noticed you mentioned templates right off the bat. And why is templates so important for a mobile experience? Yeah,
templates are huge. For consumers who aren't really savvy with technology, I'd say that the majority of our traffic are from users who are not in metropolitan areas or not that tech savvy. So having a very simplified interface to modify their designs, your templates, is critical for a mobile-first experience. So consumers are yearning for very simple, very fast and easy ways to modify a design and check out. So I think that's probably the number one reason why we hope we get great templates out of the design community.
Although, just to caveat, even some metropolitan users are not very tech savvy either, so it's not just metro versus non-metro. It really depends on the individual users. That being said, I think you have 7 tips, so let's start with the first one.
Yeah. So I'd say the first tip is something that we see a lot on Zazzle, where if you have a template design, a lot of designers have things like text 1, text 2, text 3. They're not very, in terms of the labels that you have on your text inputs. I'd say that if you can just modify those to be a little bit more descriptive to help consumers say, oh, this is what the field is for, that'd be really helpful.
So number 1, don't forget to label your text fields.
Right.
Number 2.
Yeah, so the second tip is having objects that don't overlap on mobile. When we do introduce the design tool on mobile, it's really easy to tap on, say, the topmost layer, but if you really want, as a consumer, to tap on the backmost layer, it makes it really difficult to interact with that template. So I would say the recommendation here is avoid overlapping elements as much as possible, or if you have an element in the background, just lock that object and the user will just interact with the topmost layer. So I think that's probably the number 2 tip there.
And just so you know, these are all design tips that you can do on desktop to optimize for mobile. You don't have to go to mobile to do these. These are best practices overall, and they happen to really help mobile as well.
Yep.
So number 2 is make sure you're double checking your overlapping design elements.
Totally. Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah, number 3 I'd say is just something about mobile. So with the mobile device, the screen is very small. This is just a constraint that we have on mobile. So interacting with large elements, such as large images that take up the entire canvas, I'd say it makes it really difficult to interact with on a mobile device. So wherever possible, I would recommend just reducing the size of the image so that it makes it easier for users to interact with it, don't have to pinch and scale the image as much, so it's a little bit easier and faster for mobile users.
Yeah, if you can just imagine if you're like on an iPhone and the image is huge, to edit it, you have to really pinch and zoom it.
Right.
Okay, cool. So make sure to be mindful of the large elements.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Yeah, number 4 is something also consistent with desktop is the notion of having images that actually have text in them. So if you're on a mobile device, you don't really know if text images are actually text or if they're images. And so it's pretty common, I would say, for a user to tap on an image expecting it to be text and being disappointed that they can't modify the text or the image. So wherever possible, if you do have text in your image, make it clear, or just use our font picker and create text elements, text objects, and it might be easier for a user to interact and modify the template object from there.
And just so you're clear, I know we've had a lot of discussion about the fonts. We are in the middle of updating the fonts, so those should be coming before holiday, and you heard it here first, but it'll be really exciting. We're adding a couple new fonts that we think you guys will really enjoy. So make sure you use the fonts from our font selector so that it can be easily adjust and not so much image fonts where possible.
Yeah, totally.
Number 5.
I'd say 5 and 6 are actually the same. So number 5 is a lot of overzealous use of template objects. So it's, I'd say, fairly common for you to create a design template and having 6 or 7 elements there. But it becomes really difficult to navigate as an end consumer to, say, select all 6 or 7 template objects when you only really have one template object on that, where that's the only modifiable object on the template. So I guess wherever possible, limit the amount of template objects that you've defined in your template, and the reverse is true too. There are some cases that's also common where there are no template objects defined. So if you have, say, an invitation that is very beautiful, but there are no template objects, it becomes really difficult for a user to quickly modify that design.
Okay, so 5 and 6 was don't be overzealous on making everything a template. And number 6 was, but make it a template.
Yes.
Okay. And then number 7.
Yeah, the last tip I would say is just being conscious about the transparent white space that you have around your images. This kind of goes hand in hand with the large images issue, but this one becomes a little bit more tricky on mobile because, say, you have an element that's about this big, but you have a transparent background that is ginormous. So it makes it really difficult for users to interact with on a mobile device. This real estate is very small in terms of screen size. So being judicious about the amount of transparent background on images will be really helpful and make it easier for users.
Cool. So yeah, transparent, not white images will be easier on everyone. So those were some great tips. I know that we talk about templates all the time, and you're probably sick of me saying templates, 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 but there's a reason we're bringing it up, and especially as we move towards this mobile first, templates are really starting to be an integral part of the best products that we see. Not only do they help lower return rates, it helps customer designs, there's so many benefits. So if you haven't taken a view at the template tutorial, I really suggest you go back and review it, and so that you can really optimize your templates moving forward. Cool. So those were great tips.
Thanks.
Again, they're not just for mobile, they're for, desktop as well, but they really help optimize your mobile experience. And lastly, I think you wanted to talk about the short-term roadmap. So these are some things that are coming out shortly in the next 2 to 6 months that Sean's working on. We want to give you a preview because they're really exciting.
Yeah, we're really excited here at mobile. We've at Zazzle and focusing on mobile. So our short-term roadmap. So in the next couple weeks, you can expect an app update on iTunes with a new design tool on the mobile app. So if you haven't checked it out, please download the app. a couple weeks you'll see the new design tool, and I would say it's a great improvement over what we had before.
So you go to the App Store and just type Zazzle?
That's it, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's, I'd say the near term, immediate term. A follow-up release after that will be a new product page on Android and iTunes, or iOS and Android. So that'll come in the next month or so. And then on .com, mobile web, you'll see a design tool in the flesh so that you could design on the go on mobile web. So porting that same experience will look very similar on both platforms. So that's what you can expect in the very short term. And we haven't forgot about the design community as well. So earlier this year, we released the Earnings app, which is available for iTunes. And we ported that just so that we can have a designer-focused platform for growth. So right now, it just shows your earnings. But in the near future, probably in the winter, we'll enhance that app to include statistics, designer news, even stuff like store management, updating your profiles and things like that, managing your collections. So that's going to be a focus for the mobile team for at least the winter period so that we can have more mobile-friendly tools for the design community.
That's awesome. I hope designers are happy about that because that sounds like really easy management for your store and your brand.
Yeah, I'd say the icing on the cake too is that we're hoping with this new design tool that we can extend this same capability so that designers can post for sale on mobile using the mobile app.
Woohoo! You can design on the go. Zazzle on the go.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I think, again, mobile first is something that not just Zazzle's focusing on. I think Google's changing their whole entire algorithm, but it's something that we believe in. We're seeing a consistently changing landscape, but mobile for sure is here to stay. So we are excited to be focusing on mobile, and we are excited for you guys to join us. So until next time.
Thanks.
Thanks.